Merab Dvalishvili is maybe the greatest bantamweight of all time, submitting Sugar Sean in his second fight. Kayla Harrison tastes UFC gold as she powers through Julianna Peña. We will be recapping this fight called of UFC 316 up next in Fighting with Friends. With Friends, it's your boy, brother Gaia, back again with a nice recap. We're going to do it nice and smoothly of UFC 316. It just took place about maybe from the time of recording, like two hours ago. So everything is still fresh in the mind. And while I still got this little bit of energy, let's recap while it's still fresh in my mind. So as always, we will start at the top of the card. Let me just bring it up on the screen. I must say it was quite entertaining card. Really was from what I watched. I watched from the Joshua Van fight. But we'll get to that one a little bit later. We'll start on top of the card. Like I said, we Merab tapped out Sugar Sean O'Malley in the third round, and it was just the Merab game. It was pretty much more of the same, but what Merab did differently this time, he added some very good boxing techniques, which kind of leveled the playing field a little bit. This was also a fully fit, healthy Sugar Sean O'Malley after coming back from that labrum surgery. And I mean, I want to say he looked better, but I think Merab also just looked better as well. Especially, I think that fight with Merab against Umar Nurmagomedov really leveled Merab up in that one as well. It forced him to also level up his striking game. And in this fight, I must say, from the get-go, Merab was already he was winning the fight. He was holding his own in the striking department, and he managed the distance really well. Landed some cool shots to the body, some 1-2s to the head. Faking that takedowns. You know, Sean defended some of them. I mean, there were 12 shots, but a lot of it, you know how Merab fights. A lot of it isn't necessarily always full force when he goes for those takedowns. Sometimes he's just doing it to get you to defend, to see where you're at now, which ways are your go-tos when you're going to defend. Lets it go. Just have you thinking. It's just like wiring your brain the whole time, having it fire off for a lot of things to think about. And I think that's why a lot of it was also defended. But Sugar Sean also did really well defending some of them. But every time and every round, Merab just pulled away with maybe another takedown and then some ground and pound. All Sugar Sean down there. And what he did really well was that every time they went past the 2-minute mark of each round, Merab would pick it up and be more aggressive with the takedowns. Look, there was moments where Sugar Sean cracked Merab, good right hands, good left. There's a moment where Merab went for takedown and they broke from the cage, and Sugar Sean just threw a straight left. And I mean, that kind of shots would put anyone out. It landed clean on Merab, and he just went to take down, picked him up, like just leveled it up. And normally, what happens after the third round, Merab just kind of he does take it to another level because he notices this is when athletes usually make or break. That's not often you're going to be fighting for 5 rounds. And yeah, I think it was more of the same of the first fight, and Merab just did it. What he did a little bit better for me was he added finishing to the game. I mean, he got a north-south choke, which is something from the old school of the UFC. We don't see it so often in the new game. Obviously, because of the evolution of jiu-jitsu and wrestling. But Merab pretty much was able to do whatever he wanted to do when he got to that submission game. I mean, once he was aligned, Sugar Sean to get up a little bit, went for the DOS choke. Sugar Sean did the kind of right thing to, roll to his back, get up, good scramble, and it would have worked for most time, but it's almost like that's what Merab wanted him to do, because then he just held into the north-south choke, flattened him down, pushed the hips away, and forced Sugar Sean to kind of tap out there, and he did tap out. And I was like, I want to say gutted, but we kind of all knew that was going to happen. I mean, not the submission. We kind of knew that Merab was just going to do what he did in the first fight, and like the big difference was what was O'Malley going to do differently from the first fight, since now he's got his full health back and his hips back. What is he going to do different? He's going to defend the takedown a little bit better. What I wanted to see him do more, which he didn't utilize, was a lot of the tip kicks. He did throw some knees up there, but it's always like the knees are always very risky, because if they don't work, you're basically open to be taken down, right? But the thing with tip kicks is that you can always establish your distance. You can land something that can really make the wrestler kind of rethink about how they want to do the strategy. Granted that Merab would probably obviously go back to the overhand right, shoot instantaneously kind of thing. That works all the time. But I mean, the tip kicks is definitely something that can also set up a lot of your own strikes, and sometimes can be so damaging. You don't have to go back to the punches. Deep kicks can end fights very quickly, and you saw when O'Malley did land a very good deep kick in the first fight, but I wanted none of it, and I was surprised that O'Malley didn't use it, especially when he was switching to southpaw, which I think was a perfect opportunity for him to like really blast those body kicks and those deep kicks and fight right at the distance. I think he was so afraid of not even afraid. I just think the pressure of Merab and how he walks you back is something that I was walking back from the moment. Oh, what a performance! I really have to say, I'm a big Dominic Cruz fan, but Merab is really closing down on being the greatest bantamweight of all time. Honestly, he's leveled up the game to the point where I'm looking here thinking, who's gonna beat him? Who is he? Who's gonna beat him? Which now moves us into the next question: what's next for both of these athletes? And I'm looking at the rankings. Let's actually pull it up on screen and we can do it together. So I can give you some of my picks about what I think happens next for the bantamweight guys. So in the bantamweight, obviously, starting with Merab, I think it's safe to say that he's going to fight Corey Sandhagen next. I will be amped for that fight. Corey was there. He was at the ringside. He would look fired up. Seems to be like that's the call out. The media was pushing for that conversation a lot. Merab also he did say in the press conference, post-fight press conference, that there's a lot of good fights. He would like to have the Umar Nurmagomedov rematch. But I think the next realistic matchup, and this is, I won't say verbatim, but this is kind of paraphrasing. This is what he said, that Corey Sandhagen's the next matchup. And unlucky Petr Yan, you can maybe get O'Malley too. I don't know. I'm not so sure about that one, but maybe. But I am all in on the Corey Sandhagen versus Merab fight. 100%. I think that would be a cool fight just because they haven't fought before. And that's the natural progression, I think, for both fighters. And Merab wants it. Corey wants it. UFC must book it. I think that's a very easy matchup to make for the next Bantamweight title fight. And I'll give my pick on that one when we talk about it. Early picks, I don't know. I think Merab he's a tough person to beat. I wonder who would be the person. And I am calling a lot for Brandon Royval, but I mean Alexander Pantoja, but he's fighting Kayla out of France first, so he has to get through that tough fight, and then we will know next if we'll get Merab Dvalishvili. Sugar Sean. I don't know. Maybe because of the superstar status and the amount of fans that he pulls, he probably get the Petr Yan fight again. And I know Yan would love to get that fight back. So that will probably be the next fight for O'Malley. Again, I wouldn't be upset for that fight. I would love to see Petr Yan get that fight back and get the dub. I'm pretty sure you'll beat O'Malley again. But if that's not the fight to make, if that's not what will be granted to O'Malley, I would go O'Malley. So he beat Marlon. He hasn't fought Davison. He hasn't fought Song Yadong. So you'll probably get one of them. And either one, I wouldn't be upset for either. It would be good fights to watch regardless. But I do think he's going to have to go back to the 5 and 6 spot, to be honest. And that's where we're going to see him. To see Sugar Sean. But okay, as always, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments about that one and how you think. And in terms of the matchups, why is this not coming up? In terms of the matchups that you are predicting, but I think the O'Malley, I think the Merab versus Corey Sandhagen is pretty much official. That one is legit gonna happen. All right, then we'll keep it moving to the co-main event, which was also a banger of a fight, by the way. Eddie got his wish. He wanted Kayla Harrison to go and power through Julianna Peña, and that's exactly what she did. Very tough, very good fight. Julianna looked a little bit strange for me. Hesitant, a little bit too cautious, maybe a bit too much respect for the grappling of Kayla Harrison. Look, that being said, if you look at the fight, yes, I can understand why Kayla Harrison, once she eventually got the takedown, it was kind of like, game was over. There was moments where Julianna did defend a little bit well, like stifling, framing up with the elbow, getting the hips away, really trying to defend them, and but there was only one, and then Kayla Harrison pretty much landed the takedowns at will. Especially when she got it towards the end of that first round, you could see In the beginning, they were jostling for position, trying to see who get the better range in the striking department. Kayla Harrison was doing some good low kicks. The boxing, I think Juliana, she just trust in those hands and made it a little bit more of a competitive fight. But she was so wary of the wrestling that she got trapped into the game plan. Kayla Harrison just walking her down and backing her up until she gets past that line, the outer line of the octagon, and then bang, shoots for a takedown. Punch, shoots for a takedown. Beautiful trips. She was trying to trip a few times, but when she did get those trips, got Juliana down in the first round. Started grounding and pounding a little bit. But I think in that moment when she got the takedown towards the end of the first round, you could see Kayla Harrison was like, I got this fight now. I could get her down with that amount of effort, which wasn't even that much. You could see she didn't even spend that much energy because she was breathing really well in that first round. I was like, okay, that's a sign of a good champion. And then second round, pretty much more of the same. Walked it down, took it down, and then worked her way into a half guard. Once she got the half guard, isolated the arm. Didn't even have to step over into full guard to get the full extension. Just done it from there. Full extension on the Kimura. And I tapped out. Sad to see. Well, not really that sad, but what was sad was that it was so quick. I wanted to see Juliana fight a little bit better because I know that there's a dog in her. I know that she can go with toe to toe with some good fighters. It's just that she looked very much so defensive minded that she forgot that she can even go in there and implement her own game plan of offensive. It's like she just wanted to kind of catch her. And I think that's kind of played a lot into Kayla Harrison's game plan. And big ups to that was a beautiful performance from Kayla Harrison and really showcased a fighter that implements a very strong game plan. Look, Juliana looked undersized. Let's get real. She looked a little undersized compared to Kayla. All Kayla just looked very big. I think on the time of the fight, I was saying I think Kayla Harrison could be like around 155, between 148 to 155. And then Joe Rogan said on commentary she could be at least 158 or 159. I'm like, it's massive. And it makes a lot of sense. I think about on fight night, she was probably like around 155, 156. So she was a lot bigger than Juliana. But then when they faced her off with Amanda Nunes at the end of the fight, Amanda looked so much bigger. Okay, Amanda Nunes was wearing shoes and, not really. I think she's not in any camp, but she's training twice a day, every day. And Amanda looked big. She looked like she's not going to look undersized when she takes on Kayla Harrison. So hopefully that fight happens in 2025 still. I would love to see it. I do think that Amanda Nunes is going to beat Kayla Harrison, but it would still be a good fight, and that is the fight to make. And I'm pretty sure they're going to market the hell out of it, and we will be there to watch the dominance of the true GOAT of MMA. Right, let's keep it moving. Well done, Kayla Harrison. Let's keep it moving to Calvin Gastelum taking on Joe Pyfer. Calvin Gastelum is built like a brick. Like this stocky dude. I didn't even recognize him, but interesting fight. I have a few takeaways that's like, bittersweet in a way, and because I kind of expected a little bit more from Joe Pyfer, if I'm being honest, and that's what made me a little bit feel bitter. Even though I'm a big Calvin Gastelum fan, watched this come up, like the way he fights, he still showed a little bit of shades of old Calvin Gastelum, young Calvin Gastelum in the third round. And that's what I found a little bit disappointed that it even got to the third round. I was surprised Joe Pyfer allowed it, purely because you are the representative of the new guard, right? The new kid on the block, but you're part of that discussion of new talent that is here to put people away. I mean, he got a lot of finishes in the UFC, only has one loss, and big middleweight, powerful puncher. And I mean, it looked like that was going to happen in the first round when you knocked down Calvin Gastelum literally 2 times. And like just like landing the right hand at will, just going accurate at will. And Calvin Gastelum had nothing for it in the first round. Granted, the experience and the recovery capability of Calvin Gastelum was one to recognize because he bounced back literally quick, fast. If there was an 8 count, he'd be getting up in the first 2 seconds because he bounced back up. There was a powerful knockdown. The second knockdown was quite intense because he was on his back for a while, but he was kicking up and recovery, and Joe Pyfer let him up where Joe Pyfer could have actually kind of, not necessarily emptied the gas tank, but he could have looked for a finish there. But let Calvin Gastelum back up, and then round 2 kind of let Calvin back in the fight a little bit, I felt. Because what was happening was he wasn't doing the things where even Joe Rogan, DC, was saying, if you could extend a lot of those strikes, if you can also have a better shot selection. And what I was saying also on live stream was, if he can use his left hand in a different way and just grab the wrist of his opponent and measure, and then let the right hand go. Good thing to it landed. It worked in the first round, and that can put away a lot of people, right? But I think if he wants to, which I think he will fight up against the higher guys in the division of middleweight, I don't think that strategy will work. Plain and simple. They are too athletic. They're too well-rounded. They won't fall for that. They won't even give him the opportunity to set up his range. So I think he has to deploy a little bit of a different strategy. You've got that dynamite in your right hand. So I think what Joe Pyfer, what I've loved to have seen him do in this fight was pepper the left hand, let those jabs go, straight to the body, deeps to the body, set up the right hand. He defended some good takedowns, and he maybe shot one shot the takedown for himself. I think two takedowns, which was kind of strange. But I think Calvin Gastelum got back in the fight, which kind of made Joe Pyfer force him to shoot. But if he had those moments where Calvin Gastelum was rocked up against the cage and his right hands were landing, instead of walking him down and holding out the left hand, he could use that left hand to set that right hand up. So it's a very basic thing to understand, and then I think if he starts implementing that more into his game, I think he will be that deadly middleweight that's in there. The potential's there. As for Calvin Gastelum, he showed good signs coming back in the fight with those left hands, and when he was landing on Joe Pyfer in the third round, it looked like if this was a 5-round fight, Calvin Gastelum probably would have gone on to knock him out straight up. Joe Pyfer looked tired. He wasn't defending the left-hand shots that was coming in from Calvin Gastelum, and that's why I'm like, because I had such a big expectation to see what he was really going to do against someone that is there for the taking. Didn't really show up the way he did, but he still got the dub. He still got the win, and big ups to that, man. And I do think that there will be something in him in the future, and he can take a lot to learn from this fight in terms of that killer instinct, which he does have. But now, let's set up that dynamite. Don't just throw it there. Let's set it up. Okay, let's keep it moving to what is now to be considered the biggest fraud check of 2025. Apparently, I was popping off on X when I was watching this live. Mario Batista welcomed Patchy Mix to the UFC roster and pretty much beat him up for 3 rounds. Beat him up quite, I won't say badly, but was piecing him up. There was no shots that really put Patchy Mix at danger. You could see there was moments he was like quick rocks. Yeah, he wasn't on skates for a moment where Batista can really, go and put him away. But for the entire fight, Mario Batista was looking like schooling him. They were switching stances, going back to orthodox, peppering out 1-1-2s, going to the body. He went to the body in every round from the beginning to the end, and that was setting up a lot of those those strikes to the head, which he was utilizing in round 3, end of round 2. But the beginning of round 1, a lot of the body work, a lot of the leg work coming from Mario Batista was really setting up. But it was easy. It was easy for him because Patchy Mitch wasn't defending any of this. He was literally just standing there and allowing Mario Batista to land whatever he wanted to land, and he had no counter for it. And it was weird to see that he was just doing that. Could it be that he was very nervous of the night? Could it be that he was, first time jitters on such a big stage? I mean, he's a champion. It wasn't like he was a former champion. He came over to the UFC as the champion from Bellator, and to see him perform like that was very weird. And I also had high expectations just because of what a lot of people was hyping him out to be. Mario Batista just did what he did, and I thought Mario Batista was going to do that. I thought Mario Batista with the gas tank. What I didn't like from Mario Batista was when he switched to southpaw. He was landing some good strikes in southpaw, but it also allowed Patchy Mix to fish out a check right hook. Although it didn't land that often because Mario Batista's defense was really good, but the counter was there every time Mario Batista would go in. But when he was switched back to orthodox, he was winning the fight every time. He was there, he was landing everything, couldn't be hit. And I think a lot of people now are left to look at Patchy Mix as what's going on. But I just think that 31 years old, still, came in as a champion, pre-show jitters kind of buzz, or first night performance buzz could be a little bit of a thing. Not make an excuse, but I mean I'll make more of a bigger take, more detailed take on Patchy Mix when I can see him fight again, maybe another 2 times in the UFC. But let's see who. I didn't even talk about who Joe Pyfer and Calvin Gastelum will fight next. That's funny. But in terms of who Bantamweight division, who should Mario Batista and Patchy Mitch fight next? Mario Batista, he's got a fight. I'd love to see him take on someone like Davison Figueiredo, actually, or probably Song Yadong. I mean, he deserves a good fight. Maybe Marlon, maybe he gets the Marlon Vera fight back. I think beating Patchy Mix is like, all right, let's get Marlon Vegeta Vera back. That would be I still would love to see that matchup for Mario Batista. As for Patchy Mix, I don't know. Marcus McGee, maybe Montel Jackson. It's one of those guys down there in the teens. I don't know, but I'm sure the UFC will give him a fight where we can maybe see some more of what he has to offer. But at the moment, he was so flat-footed and very rarely did he throw anything. Let me just look at those amount of strikes. Total 122 or 304. Okay, he was throwing a lot, but like everything was missing. Towards the end of round 3, there was like shades of something because he was landing on Mario Batista. There was shades towards the end there, but yeah. Okay, just give him another chance, and then I can see what he's all about. Because I don't know, but at the moment, I think he got humbled for in that one there. I think he got humbled for sure because he had this attitude coming into the fights, and I was just like, hold up, let's first see what your performance is like before you can walk around like you're the biggest dog in the pit, And I think Mario Batista just silently just proved that you need to first go out there and showcase what you're all about before you can talk such a big boxer. But hopefully, in his next fight, he's going to be something else. All right, let's keep it moving to a nice battle that opened up the main event. Vicente Luque, he took on Kevin Holland in the welterweight division, and I think this was a really good fight, especially because both guys came to fight. They came to bang. They came to look for takedowns. They came to, put on a performance. And Kevin Holland looked good from the get-go. He looked fabulous. Striking was on point. The jabs. He was going back to the classic Kevin Holland, talking to his opponent, hyping himself up, hyping up Vicente Luque, just making it a nice battle. And Vicente Luque giving up props for being such a killer, such a dog to go in there and actually meet Kevin Holland punch for punch. And it was nice to watch. And I think Kevin Holland just looked smooth. Looked really smooth. Setting up some of those strikes with some good body kicks. Just looked like he filled out nicely and looks natural for this welterweight division. And I'm quite stoked about it because he announced it in his post-fight interview that this is his division now, and I'm like, yes, let's go. You're in a prime of your life. Let's go. Let's make a run, right? Although there's some very much top killers in the welterweight division, but we'll get into that. But in terms of how Kevin Holland set up that finishing sequence, he first and foremost was beating up Vicente Luque with the boxing. Had him rocked in the second round, and then once they got takedowns to the ground, he pretty much had, I think Vicente Luque shot for a takedown, and there was a little bit of a scramble, and Kevin Holland went in for a dash choke, sunk it in. And Vicente Luque was doing the right thing because he's a high-level black belt jiu-jitsu as well, and he did the right thing in terms of jumping over to get to the next side. But Kevin Holland did also another high-level move by tapping the leg, the trailing leg of Vicente Luque with his legs, ultimately giving him some more leverage when he does extend the hips, giving him more leverage, sinking in that choke, forcing the tap from Vicente Luque. And big ups to both guys for showing some good sportsmanship at the end of the fight. I thought it was amazing performance from Kevin Holland, and I like the call-out as well. Let's talk about who they should be fighting next. Vicente Luque can still be a top guy. I think he's still a good fight for most guys in that division. They probably would give Vicente Luque Michael Venom Page. That would be a good fight to see in the future. I wouldn't mind seeing that one. I don't know if Michael Venom Page would take it. I think he wants to fight a little bit higher. But I mean, sitting at number 15, I think fighting Vicente Luque would be a good fight regardless. But I like the call out from Kevin Holland when he said, "Give me Colby Covington." I like that he said he's the worst guy in the division. I would say that's a brilliant fight for Kevin Holland. I would love to see it as well. And as long as Colby Covington is in the rankings, I say milk the name, dude. Go in there, Kevin Holland, take that number from him, beat him up. But I do think going forward, it'll be tough fights. I mean, we're looking at fighters like Carlos Prates, Michael Morales, Joaquin Buckley. There's some really tough guys out there, and I think Kevin Holland might struggle there. But I also think, if he goes anything like he's going right now and throwing shades of old Kevin Holland, I think he goes in there, puts in a really, really performance with most of these guys. But yeah, big ups to that fight. So that was a really good fight. I would say main card, really good main card. I only managed to capture the featured bout of the prelims, which was Bruno Silva taking on Joshua Van. I will talk a little bit about it because I did watch it from start to finish, and top fight, top performance from both guys. Bruno Silva toughed it out. I thought he toughed it out for most time, but Joshua Van looks fabulous, dude. I like the man's boxing. I think when it comes to kicking game, I know he throws some high kicks out there, but a lot of it is just to kind of keep people in line where he wants them to be, so we can stay in his boxing range. For the most part, he was piecing up Bruno Silva, dropping him. I think when it was around 3 knockdowns. Yeah, I think it was around 2, around 3. Was it? No, it was around 1 a knockdown, around 2 a knockdown, and around 3 was the finish. Was the third knockdown, and then ultimately setting up that TKO finish. But what a performance from Joshua Van. I think he just showcased some good crisp boxing, some good durability, because Joshua Van did Silva did come in and strike really well. But Joshua Van took those shots like a champ. And that's the thing about this Myanmar fighters. I'm happy that he's one of the representatives in the UFC, is one of the first ones, or he's the first one. And I think he's going to be a problem at 23 years old for the flyweight division, because there's nothing like Litterway. I don't think he fought in Litterway, but there's nothing like this Myanmar fighters that are so durable. We speak a lot about it when we're doing the One Championship content, and I think it's going to be a problem for this flyweight division. Good crisp boxing. I want him to have a little bit better takedown defense, because there was moments in the fight where Bruno Silva where I had a little bit of a panic takedown and he landed it. And I wanted Joshua Van to actually sharpen up in that takedown defense, because his boxing is good, his power is good, his durability is good. And I think that he would be a tough fight for the flyweight fighters, and I think he's one to watch. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. I want to let you guys know that I'm very, very thankful for all the support we've had this week, and quite a good amount of subscribers. Just stop this music for both lives. It really made me so happy that I was able to do it. I toughed it out. Not able to be getting sick during the time where everyone else is so sick. But thank you so much for showing the support through the One Championship Live, as well as the UFC 316 Live. All the likes, and also big up to Ariana Sparza for tuning in. Big ups to you, guy. That was amazing. Put me tripping at the end of the live there. I was like, what is happening? But yeah, I just want to say thank you for all of you guys. My brain is fried from all the fights this weekend. So yeah, just much love again. Have a good Sunday, Monday, wherever you're from, wherever you guys want to enjoy the time and have a good time. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the new week for new content and new fights. So yeah, much love. Cheers, everybody.